it's Kaylin and welcome back to my channel. So as I told you guys, I was going to do a video telling you guys what happened to my skin. It's honestly like just really hard to like put yourself out there at your worst state. So this video just has been really hard for me to film. So basically at the beginning of the year around January, I was really tired, like to the point where I was like, something is wrong. Because at first I thought I was lazy, but then I'm like, nah, like I'm not this lazy. So I go to the doctors, get a blood test, and I have low iron anemia. And I was actually supposed to get a blood transfusion, but the doctors were like, well, let's just try to see what giving you iron supplements will do first, and super B complex supplements, because something else was too high. Hemoglobin or something, like something else was too high and my iron was too low, so I had to take 2 pills. So it was cool during the month of January, like it was working, it was getting my iron and my whatever the other one was back where it was supposed to be, and I had to take these for 6 months. So toward the end of February, I'm in the shower, I'm about to go somewhere, so I'm shaving my legs, and I end up cutting myself with a razor. It was pretty bad, but I mean, it wasn't that bad, you know. It's a razor cut. And I don't know if you guys remember on my Instagram story, like I posted a picture of the scar, and I was like, oh, why do bad things happen to good people? But I posted a picture of the scar or whatever, it's a razor cut, whatever, move on, it's nothing, you know. So like literally like about within that week, I got a bump on my belly button, and I'm like, why do I have this random mosquito bite on my belly button? Like, what in the world? So, you know, you just move on because you like, I woke up with a mosquito bite. So then the next day, I got another mosquito bite on my belly button. And I'm like, where's this mosquito in my room? So then the next day, I got like 2 more bumps on my stomach and some on my arm. So I'm looking around my room like, dang, like did this mosquito have babies? So I'm looking around for these mosquitoes. I don't see no bugs. I'm looking at my bed because I'm like, maybe I got bed bugs or something. Like, why am I waking up with these scars? So look at my bed, no bed bugs. So, you know, I'm just kind of like, this is random. It's only a couple. I'm just wondering, like, why are they just popping up like this? So I'm like, oh, maybe my skin is dry because it's the winter and I just need to put on some lotion. So, you know, you take a shower, you put on lotion, you change your soap, it's still happening. So every day I'm continuing to wake up with these mosquito bites, and they're just multiplying. It's more and more and more, and they more and more itchy. Like, they're really itchy. They're itchier than mosquito bites. But a week or 2 in, like, I went to my mom's house and I had just casually mentioned, like, look at all these bumps on my arm. Like, I'm waking up with all these random bumps on my arm. So we get a doctor's appointment, and I'm thinking that this is happening at this point because of the iron supplements that I'm taking, because obviously the iron supplements are doing something to your body, you know. Like, I'm like, oh, maybe I'm allergic to the iron supplements. So I end up going to the doctors. I get there, and you know, the nurse or whoever it is that comes in first before the doctor, she's over here. I'm telling her like what's been happening. I'm showing her my arms and like my stomach now, because at this point, by the time I actually get to the doctors, because you know, you gotta wait like a month before you even could get to the doctors. So at this point, I'm like, my stomach is like covered in a whole bunch of teeny tiny little bumps, and my arm has more too. So I'm showing her like my skin or whatever, and she's like, oh, let me put on some gloves because I don't know what you have and I don't want to get it. And I'm like, okay, like you could have just put your gloves on and not said anything, but whatever. So the doctor comes in, and the doctor basically looks, and she's like, I have no idea or whatever. So she gets me an appointment with the dermatologist. Now the dermatologist is booked, so my appointment for him is literally 2 months after like the appointment that I'm in. So I'm over here like, if I'm contagious, or you think I'm contagious and you don't know what's going on, then why are y'all like making my appointment like 2 months later? Like, why am I waiting this long? I'm out here touching people in the world and I'm contagious. After like a couple days of this continuing after the doctor's appointment, we call in because we like, no, like we're not about to wait no 2 months for this doctor's appointment. Like, she's scarring. Like, every day I'm waking up in scars. So they made it like maybe a month closer. So by the time I get to the dermatologist appointment, I'm covered in scars, but they're not, well, I'm covered in bumps, but they're not scars yet. Like, they haven't blackened, they're just flesh colored bumps. So when I finally get to the dermatologist and I'm showing him, I don't think he really knew, I can't remember, but I don't think he really knew what was going on at that point. But he gives me, of course, a cream, because a cream is just the solution to everything. So I'm putting this cream on, you know, when I get home, nothing's happening. So when I go to my follow-up appointment, it's way worse than it was. Keep in mind, y'all, every day I'm waking up with these random bumps, and these bumps are itchy and they turn into scars. Regardless of whether you scratch them or just leave them alone, they're going to turn into scars. So some of them at this point are older, and now some of this at this point are still new, but it's just bumps and scars just collecting all over my body, everywhere. He basically looks at me, and at that point he says, I think that you have lichen planus. And I'm fed up at this point, so I'm like, I want a skin biopsy, like do a skin biopsy. And you have lichen planus, like I know you have lichen planus, which is an autoimmune disease that there's no known cause for and there's no known cure for. So he's like, you have to wait it out, you have to wait it out, and it'll go away on its own. But we're like, no, do a skin biopsy. Like I want a skin biopsy because I want to know 100% for sure that this is whatever you say it is. So he does a skin biopsy, and I just leave because, like I said, he said you have to wait it out. So, you know, after like 2 weeks, 3 weeks of this continuing to happen, my body is just waking up with scars every single day. We go in and we like, okay, you need to do something because I'm waking up with scars every day. I'm not gonna just sit here and wait it out. Like I've been waiting. At this point, it's June. So this has been happening from February to June. My body is scarring itself every single day. So when we go back to the dermatologist, we're like, okay, like what the skin biopsy say? And he's like, oh, you have lichen planus, like I said. And I'm like, well, you need to do something about it because I've been waiting it out and it hasn't cleared up. It's getting worse because at first it was only like a little bit, but now it's like coming full force. So I'm like, you have to do something about this. So he ends up giving me prednisone. So while I'm taking the prednisone, I noticed like it cleared up. Not the hyperpigmentation because it's hyperpigmentation. It's not gonna go away in a day. But I'm cool because I'm like, yes, like my body has stopped scarring. These bumps aren't coming anymore. But I was also taking the iron and B12 because I needed to, because within that 6-month, 5-month time frame, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm allergic to dairy. So you stop eating dairy. Then I'm like, okay, maybe I'm allergic to eggs. Something had to trigger this to happen. So I'm trying to figure out all this stuff that I could potentially be allergic to that could have caused this. So I'm over here, oh, maybe it was this ice cream that I was binge eating. Oh, maybe it's the soap that I was using. Oh, maybe it's the iron, maybe it's the B12. I'm on and off, like just doing all these things, trying to figure out like what helps, what doesn't help. And the only thing that I noticed that helped was when I was taking the iron in Super B complex, it was happening faster. Like the bumps and stuff were coming faster. But when I stopped, the bumps and stuff never stopped, but they just didn't come as fast. So I'm like, okay, so I'm stuck between, is it the B complex and iron or is it not? Because it never stops when I stop taking it, but it gets worse when I do take it. So I'm kind of like stuck in between. But when he gives me the medication, I'm like, cool, like I got some medicine to cure this. So I'm taking the medicine, the B complex, and the iron. And the medicine goes like you start off with a high dose and every week you have to lower your dose. So at first it was cool, but as I was lowering my dose, the disease started breaking through the medication. So I could see it coming back while I'm still on the medication. So I'm depressed because I'm like, oh my God, like it still hasn't stopped. Like it's still going on. So I go to the doctors after I finish the medication and I show him like it's still going on. It was going on while I was on the medication. And he's like, oh, you gotta wait like 2 months after taking the medication to see results, basically. So a month goes by, 2 months go by, and I'm not even like going to him anymore because I'm like, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. Like I'm not about to sit here and just wait for it to stop. Like something had to cause this to happen, you know. So start going to another doctor. He puts me on prednisone again. Of course, it didn't work the second time, but the second time that I was on it, I wasn't taking iron and I wasn't taking B complex. Now at this point it's September, so it did end up coming back after I finished the medication, but it didn't come back while I was on the medication. And when it did came back, it's like slowly like trickling, like almost to the point where it feels like it's working its way out, but it's still there. There's no known cause for lichen planus and there's no known cure for it. So everything that a doctor says, everything that you read is kind of an assumption because there's no known cause and no known cure. Basically, you do have to just wait for it to stop. It will stop at some point, but you have to just wait. So it's going to continue to scar your body every single day until it just decides to stop. Also, when I ended up going to the second doctor, he ended up giving me like a whole bunch of blood tests. A blood test for cancer, lupus. Of course, he wanted to see where my iron and stuff was. Like, I don't even know because it's like doctor stuff. My blood cells, like everything. He gave me all the blood tests that you could give me. And all my blood tests, everything as far as my health, everything came back perfect. Like everything is exactly where it needs to be. So it's nothing even going on with my body that could like say like, oh, this is too high or this is too low or this is where it should be, you know. So that's what made it even worse because my body, as far as health wise, is perfect. So at this point they're saying that the only thing that I could do is get this UVB light treatment therapy or something, and it's basically supposed to just help get rid of the scars. I keep saying scars, but it's hyperpigmentation, but who wants to keep saying hyperpigmentation? That's such a long word. But it's supposed to help your scars or whatever clear up faster than they would if you just do it naturally, but it doesn't stop the disease from happening. So I'm kind of like, okay, well, what's the point of going to get rid of the scars as I'm continuing to get scars? Like, it's just gonna go in circles and it's not gonna go anywhere. So I haven't gotten the treatment yet. I'm probably gonna have to get it, but I mean, I'm still trying to focus on what happened. And this is what I think happened from my own research, because when I was going to the doctors earlier, I kept telling them, they were saying that I have lichen planus, and I know that I do have lichen planus because lichen planus also affects your mouth, and I did get the disease in my mouth. But as far as my body, it's still scarring, and it's kind of like coming back in my mouth, but not as bad as it was. When I was going to the doctors in the beginning, I kept telling them like, okay, but it looks like it's two different things going on, because the bumps look like two different types of bumps. But now, doing my own research, because keep in mind, y'all, I've been researching and just everything for months, this is what I think happened. When I told you guys in February I ended up cutting myself with a razor, that I think is what triggered all of this to happen. But basically, just researching and researching, I came across something called folliculitis, which is very common, and it could get triggered by a razor cut. And what I have, these teeny tiny little bumps, and all of these bumps and stuff all over my skin look like folliculitis. Like, I can see a very few that look like lichen planus, but I could see a whole bunch that look like folliculitis. So I think majority of these scars and stuff on me are folliculitis, and it was triggered by that razor cut, because that's what triggers folliculitis. And I was reading, if you have like a hidden autoimmune disease like lichen planus, it could really like flare up and really like make it worse than what it is. And super B complex does not help or make it any better. It makes it worse. And I was taking super B complex and iron and stuff, and that's why I told you guys, when I noticed when I was taking the iron and the super B complex, it looked like it was getting worse, but when I stopped, it didn't stop, but it just wasn't as bad as it was when I was taking it. So that razor cut is what triggered all of this to happen. My last doctor's appointment was yesterday. That's why at this point I'm like, I'm doing my own thing. Like, at this point, I don't think that I'm going back to the doctors for a while. If I do anything, it would be to go get the UVB treatment, but I wouldn't be going to the doctor's office, because I just feel like I'm wasting my money, because I keep going in there and the answer is literally, I don't know, you just have to wait, and I'm not accepting that. So now, instead of focusing on trying to treat lichen planus, something that has no known cause and no known cure, I'm focusing on treating folliculitis, which has known causes and cures. So at this point, my body is still scarring. Like I said, I'm kind of at the point now where I'm over it. At least it's not something that affects like my organs, like my liver or my kidney. It only affects my skin. And at this point, like, you guys, this is what my skin looks like at this point. I don't know how much it comes off on camera, but my arm is covered in scars. Both arms covered in scars. They're all up on my wrist, both of my wrists, my legs, my stomach, and my back is the worst. And I have been trying to get rid of the hyperpigmentation just on my own, using, like, you know, different creams and stuff, and it does help, but I was kind of like stopping, because I'm like, I need to focus on getting rid of these bumps from coming every single day. Because just imagine getting rid of acne on your face while you're still having acne, you know, like, it kind of cancels itself out. Right now, I'm just kind of doing my own thing and trying to figure things out for myself. And at this point, I guess we'll just see where things go. So I just wanted to tell you guys what happened, why I've been gone, just because I've been trying all year to figure out what's been going on with my skin. If I could get the disease to stop and these bumps from like occurring every day, then I'll definitely tell you guys like what I did, what I used to stop it. Because I don't think the cure is just to sit there and wait. It's been a year, like I said. But since I've been gone for so long, I feel like I should just come out here and let you guys know what happened. And maybe in the future, this could help somebody else who's going through the same thing, or somebody that has discoloration, hyperpigmentation, whatever. Because I do think that I'll be able to get my skin back right. I'm just focused on stopping the disease stopping it from happening. So yeah, if you guys want to follow me on my skin journey, then make sure you guys subscribe. I'm gonna still be posting hair videos, but you know, my life has changed, so it's gonna be more than just hair now. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for always supporting my channel, and I'll see you guys in my next video.